And good morning and welcome to Local Talk here on WNDR 97.7, nextdoorradio.com, and the Nextdoor Radio app available by Google and Apple Store. My name is Trace Nod. Give us a call, 919-618-9258, 919-618-9258. This time, and it was Friday, 10 o'clock, which means it's Behavior 911 with Kellie Syfan. How are you today?
So well, Trey. Thank you.
Thank you for coming in once again. Let's do our quick little 30-second infomercial, who you are and what you do.
Absolutely. I am Kellie Syfan. I'm the owner of Clove Hitch Behavior, where we focus on changing behavior while protecting the spirit. I help with tantrums and meltdowns, fears and phobias, and behaviors resulting from trauma on my farm in Franklinton, North Carolina.
And this is you just recently moved full time there at the farm, which I'm super excited
Yes.
about. We talked a little bit about last couple of weeks, but what's new there at the farm?
Sure. So right now we've got figs have just come into season, which if you want to talk about a cool palate expanding fruit for kids,
Yeah.
figs is a neat one. It's an inverted flower. It's a flower internally inside of the fruit. And that itself is the fruit. So where normally there would be a flower and then say for an apple, it would then become the apple. It's all in one. It's very, very cool.
Yeah, so figs, I'm thinking, you ever see those little looks like a square rectangle
Yeah,
that
like a
has
fig
the
Newton.
jelly. Yeah, fig Newton. That's exactly what I'm thinking of.
Yep. I cannot stand a fig Newton.
You ain't kidding. I was just about to say
But
them
I
things are
love a
disgusting.
fig. Oh, it's so good.
I don't know if I've ever had anything like that.
Yeah, it's sweet. It's sort of peachy. It's sort of nutty. It's a good one.
Interesting. Well, we're gonna have to try it. Of course, you have one of
Absolutely.
those cool thing that I know you're excited about, and I know my wife is extremely excited about is the editable classes that you guys have.
Yes.
Talk a little bit more about that.
Sure. So we have Miss Melanie Yukov. She does the wild plant edible classes at the farm.
It's crazy.
Yes, it's super fun. In the last class, she made from everything we collected a elderberry syrup that everybody took home. The time before, we made flour infused vinegars. It's so much fun. You're walking around, meeting all the animals, picking wild edible plants, turning them into the meal for the day and something to take home. It's really fun.
How can they find more information about that?
Sure, you can go to, chbehavior.com. I'm still stuck on saying the full words. You'll have to excuse me. Or you can go to Melanie Yukov. You can find her on Instagram. You can Google her. It's Roots to Rise Wellness.
Perfect. And Ms. Kellie Syfan joins us here from Clove Hitch Behavior, part of our Behavior 911 here on WNDR 97.7, nextdoorradio.com, and the Nextdoor Radio app available by Google and Apple Store. So some of your students, some of your kids that come to the farm and come to your program have already started school.
Yes.
Here locally, the earliest starts on Tuesday. We have Wednesday for the more of the charters. The private schools start on Wednesday, and the public start I believe the 28th of August. So we're all about to ramp up and transition from the summer into school year. As much as parents are extremely excited about the kids going back to school, because I know I am. What is some of the conversations you're having right now and some of the questions that you're receiving as they prepare for that different stage in their kind of young life?
Absolutely. So we talked a little bit about this last week, and anybody can go back onto nextdoorradio.com and look at last week's show to look at how to prepare for the transition itself. But one of the things, having talked to a couple of different kiddos that have gone back into school, that I've recognized is talking about expectations versus reality. So when we have big expectations, that's fantastic. And that's where we get let down. If we don't have a big expectation for something, we can't be let down by missing that expectation. So that can look like I expect this school year to be the same as last school year. So the routines are going to be the same, of course, because that's what school was for me, especially for my kindergartners going into first grade. We only have 1 year of learning history. We expect it to be the same. Then we get in and it's different. It's a new teacher. I sit in a new spot. It's a new routine. Lunch is at a slightly different time. All those little things there. We can also have expectations around, so that's like the rules and routines. We can have expectations around what our peers are going to be like. Looking at, hey, last year I was best friends with so-and-so, and then this year we've had this whole summer apart. Is that relationship going to look the same in this moment? Sometimes it is, sometimes it isn't. And if we have that expectation that things will be exactly the same or be in a certain way, those first couple days of school can be really tough as we find that those expectations are not always met.
And so when you have a student struggling with that transition, moving into, like you mentioned, my best friend was such and such,
Mm-hmm.
but now that individual is not really talking to me.
Mm.
What do you say? How do I mean? What are some of those conversations?
Sure. So it's a balance between everybody has a right to who they interact with, and how do we make sure that we're caring for ourselves when we recognize either one, somebody has moved on from that friendship, I have more attachment to it than they do, or two, I really want to express how I care for this person in a way that they're not willing
Mhm.
to receive. And I really want to focus on that second one because
Yeah.
that comes into teaching more complex consent and different things like that. So there's a lot of ways that we want to express caring for somebody else that they may not be ready for. So I may want to give somebody a hug and they may want a little bit of space. Or I want to, yell and run up to them and they might find that to be a little bit overwhelming. Looking at that, how do we express ourselves and how we
Mhm.
care for other people in a way that they can receive it helps with a lot of those miscommunication moments. Can we have that conversation of, "Oh, that looks uncomfortable for you. I really want to come and say hello to you in the morning.
Yeah.
Where are you at? Like, can I give you a high five? Would that
Yeah.
be okay?" Can, and
We're huggers in our families. I mean, so
yeah,
there's that. I mean, I'm not
absolutely.
gonna lie to you, we're huggers. So that's
Yeah.
tough.
It can be tough when you want to give somebody a
Mhm.
hug and they take that step back,
Yeah.
especially for young kids. That can feel like, oh, they don't care
Mhm.
about me. They don't want to hang out with me. When in that moment, it might just be, whoa, you came out of
Yeah.
nowhere. So having those sorts of conversations of just because somebody can't receive the the type of love you're trying to give to them,
Mhm.
the care you're trying to show doesn't mean they don't care for you. In that moment, they just may not be able to receive it. So talking about how do we take those moments and not take them personally? How do we interact with other people in ways that feel good for both of us? So it doesn't become that, well, if I don't hug you, then you don't care about me.
Yeah.
Or if you refuse my hug, that means we're not best friends anymore. We can have a little bit more of that back and forth.
Talk to me about the homework stuff.
Yes.
I am a huge not fan of homework. And I tell all the time, and we're gonna use personal, aspect of it
Sure.
now. My son is in the smart stuff because of my wife, and have no. I'm okay saying that, but that's going from none at all
Mhm.
to all right. We have 3 or 4 things at night.
Mm.
Settle down. You're gonna take your bath. You're gonna go eat. You're gonna do homework.
Mhm.
How does that all that kind of translate?
Sure. So I'm going to answer this in a way you may not expect.
Okay.
So often when I've got kiddos that have individualized education plans, IEPs or 504s, one of the things that I will suggest for parents who are struggling with homework is to go in and put as a part of that plan, if my child proves that they have fluency in this, I'm going to sign off on the homework and we're not going to finish it.
Hmm.
Like if my child knows these math facts, like I'm going to test them at the beginning. If they know them, or even better, teacher, can you give me a way to test them at the beginning? If they know it, I'm going to sign off they know it. We're not going to do the busy work. Because there's a couple different things we have here. We want the habit of going home and doing homework in order to get through the rest of the school
Hmm.
system, because homework's going to be a thing. And having that pattern of I go to school, I come home, I do my homework is going to be helpful moving forward in
Yeah.
school. And if we know that having that extra work when it's busy work is just going to make life miserable for your family, it's going to make learning miserable. That means school's going to be miserable. We're not going to have the love of learning, which we know is the bigger goal for everybody. So going through and going, okay, if we have fluency, I'm just going to sign off. If we don't, I recognize we need extra practice. We can do the
Hmm.
practice at home. That's one of the big things that I suggest. And I hope that that becomes more mainstream in general because I could see it being so much more
Yeah.
of a tool for learning rather than just a drudgery have to get through it. But again, it's a big system, so I don't expect big changes to happen every step of the way. If we know it's going to be an issue, getting in with your teacher, seeing if that's an option, seeing if something similar is an option, just to make sure we've got that love of learning and we're actually looking for fluency, not just busy work. Big
That's
pluses.
yeah. That's not how you mentioned. That's not how I thought you were going to answer
Yeah,
that. That's good,
it's a
and
strange answer, but I love it.
that's a great thing to kind of focus on because it's again homework to me is not fun. Some of it can be.
Mm.
Of course, we
Mhm.
throw stuff at wall and make it stick, and that's fun stuff.
Yep.
I can use sports, for example,
Sure.
but a lot of it is again busy work. I had busy
Yes.
work going through high school, through college. I mean, it is what it is,
Mhm.
and so that's that. interesting. I'm not sure I've ever heard anything talk about that.
Yeah, and I think sports is a great metaphor for that. Like when we're practicing, say, free throws for basketball, once we're hitting every single hoop, we may still need to do a couple every day, but we don't need to do 500.
Yeah.
Once we've got like, okay, we're consistently getting it from 4 or 5 different points, it's time to pause and do the next thing. If we just focus on this, yeah, we'll be really good at that. Perhaps we will get tiny bits better, but it's not going to be that exponential
Yeah.
change that if we went to the next skill and started working on that piece that we'd be in. And there's so much more to life than just homework. So
Yeah.
again, this may be a bit of a hot take, but that's the way that I hope we can advocate for a lot of our kids.
Busy work. I can't. It's tough for me. I can't stand it.
Yeah.
Anyway, Miss Kelly, thank you so much once again. How can our listeners once again find some more information about who you are and what you do?
Absolutely. You can go to www.chbehavior.com or call or text 919-579-6192.
You're the best. Thank you so much.
Thank
Appreciate
you.
you. And Kelly Syfan joins us here for Behavior 911 every single Friday, beginning at 10 a.m. here on our local talk program here at WNDR. Oxford 97.7, nextdoorradio.com, and the Nextdoor Radio app. We'll see you later.